All right, so we're COMP1011, and it's week 11, lesson 11, part 1. And today we're doing the logic piece. We did the UI last week for our calculator, our tip calculator. And today we're going to do the logic side of things to help you with your assignment that's due, next week, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's take a look at that. So again, I'm going to go into developer, I'm going to go into Eclipse, and again you can pull this up the same on Windows. You just pull up Eclipse on Windows. Now let's see if it's still broken. Probably not. Alright, so here's my tip calculator. I'm looking at my main XML. If I look at main XML and if I give it a second, it's going to have the a couple of windows here that you remember from last week. We kind of put together this tip calculator. It looks something like this. Is it perfect? Absolutely not, but it does work. On the right hand side, you've got your outliner, and if I click on any of these things on the right hand side also, below you get a content sensitive properties over here. One thing we focused on last week was you have your UI, and underneath that you have your main XML document here that basically connects your UI with an actual did I put it up on GitHub? Is that what you said?
Yes.
I did not. So I'm going to do that today, just for you. Yeah, so here's our main XML. And the main XML is another way of kind of laying out UI elements right onto the screen. Okay, so let's add a GitHub repository. We're going to call this, go to GitHub. And I'm going to add in a new repository for you guys just for this that we're going to call COMP1011, and we'll call it tip calculator. So we're building this from scratch if you want to follow along. Here's a repository for it, right? And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go the way, remember we did this last time. I'm going to right click on my my project. I'm going to go down to where it says team, and I'm going to go share project, right? And of course I'm going to use Git. You can also use CVS. I'm going to use Git in this particular case. I'm going to use or create a repository in the parent folder of the project. I'm going to click the Git repository. I'm going to click create a repository, which is going to do what I need to do. And then I'm going to click finish. When I do that, it's good. I've got my repository. And then of course if I right click, I need to, one thing it does say is, here's my tip calculator, but there's no head. Right? No head means I need to create or use an initial commit. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to go team and then commit, and I'm going to say initial commit because we didn't do one yet. And I'll say UI. UI is already done at this stage. Right? UI done. Now it asks me which of these things do I want to include, right, in my path. Well, I want all of them. Right? I don't want to exclude any of these things. My project, my bin, my classes, all this kind of stuff I want in here. Right? I'm going to say commit and push, but if I say commit and push, it doesn't have where to push to. Always allow. And of course, it's going to need my repository, my URI, which because I already copied it in place, it puts it here. That's my tip, my URI, and it has my username and password already. But if it doesn't have yours, you put things here for your origin. Right? And it's going to automatically generate the repository path, the repo path. Next, right? And then next again, and then finish. And then of course this is going to push everything out to GitHub just to confirm that it's there. I'm just going to refresh, and we should have our Java repository here. And if you notice it's brown, this brown line here, it tells us the statistics. Oh, so let's go back. If I click on this brown line, it says 100% of what we're doing is Java. Right? Okay, so this is cool. Now, you might be having trouble, and I just kind of showed you a quick way to do it here through GitHub, but how do I connect to it in command line, right? Like I know, for example, I have this project somewhere, and if I wanted to look at my Eclipse, and I go to File, Switch Workspace, I know my workspace is right now at Users, Thomas, Documents, Workspace. Yours is going to be somewhere else, wherever it's going to be in your, it's going to show C:\/ users, whatever it's going to be, your name, documents, and so on, whatever your workspace is going to be, right? Well, if I actually go there, so if I go to see users, users Thomas documents workspace. So I'm already here, right? So if I go to documents, workspace, and I see that I have a test project, Pythonic, and this is not the right thing, right? Because if I go, what's my path? It's users Thomas courses is advanced webs, blah, 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 blah. This is not right, right? I'm in the wrong repository somehow. I teleported there, huh? So see users Thomas, see users Thomas, right? Documents, right? And then workspace. See what it does? It just teleported me to workspace. And I wonder if it's workspace with a W. So that's not really my repository. I don't know where I'm working right now. Show in. Of course, no applicable views. I want to find where the hell I am, right? So I can do it manually, but I have no clue where I am. How about that? I'm probably under something called Android. I'm guessing that's what I'm probably under my documents. Or sorry, ls Android. Yeah. So yeah, we don't know where the hell we are. I mean, I could definitely switch, but if I switch workspaces, I'm going to lose that. I'm going to lose out of this. Oh, here it is. Users, Thomas, Documents, Workspace, Android. That'll be all right. See? I knew where I was. CD, let's go back up one. CD, Thomas, Documents, Workspace, Android. Of course, there's none. Of course, there can't be any kind of Thomas, Documents, Workspace, Android. Yay! Here's my tip calculator. The reason why I'm doing this is because, just in case you want to see the Git repository here, here's Git. The Git folder right here is where the Git repository is being held in the on the document. And if I want to know where my Git is, I can go Git status because it's an actual Git repository and it shows me where I am, right? It says my upstream is gone. If I go Git log, right? It shows me I have an initial commit with a UI done. So I can actually do physically on the command line what we did inside Eclipse. All right, let us build the next pieces of the puzzle. All right, for our what we're doing. Last week we built this. If you want to, you can always grab the GitHub version online, so you're up to date with me. Right. So now, how do you incorporate this into your path? If you're grabbing it from online, you got to do this. You got to go into Eclipse and you got to say File, and you've got to import, right? And if you notice, there's Android, existing Android code into Workspace, right? That's one way you could do it. Or if you go File New, this is bad because what this is going to do is going to create a new project. You don't want that. You want to kind of open an existing file into your workspace. That's what you really want to do. So again, it would be File, Import, and then from there, existing into Workspace. Import, again, if you want general, existing projects into Workspace, and choose Android and the Android project, it would do that. Okay. Okay, let's go to the next level. So one thing we have to do now is program the back end. And how do we do that? So I'm going to pull up my presentation here to follow again. I did promise to put the other one up, but it is what it is. Okay. So now we're going to start doing the what I want to do, which is start building the functionality for the app, right? And how do we do that? I'm just going to swap in and out of here, so just bear with me while I do that. Okay, so this is the package. Our package won't look like this. Your package will say something like, if I go back to Eclipse, and if I go to sources, it's going to say CA Georgian College. I call mine CA Georgian College Tip Calculator app. That package, think about your packages in Java as your namespaces in C#. Okay, that's really what it's like. It's like a container object that contains all of your code. So the way it's working is CA, it's in reverse DNS, right? So CA Georgian College Tip Calculator. And if I look physically on the at the folders, so if I go back to my folder view, so again, my project, by the way, it shows me where it is. Users, Thomas, Documents, Workspace, Android. Yours would say something similar. So if I go to Thomas, Documents, right, Workspace, Android, and if I look and see what it is, if I go into Tip Calculator, and when I look there, here's what I see, right? And under Source, I see CA. Take a look. Source, right here, I see CA. Why? Because what I see here in Eclipse and what I see here in the folders are totally different. Keep that in mind. Because it's done in reverse namespace order. CA is my outer folder. Inside of CA, that's why it's the reverse namespace. Inside my CA is Georgian College. Let's look at that. So if I go CD CA and do an LS, here's Georgian College. And if I go into Georgian College, right, then I see my Tip Calculator app, which is, now I can see if I go in there, it's Tip Calculator app, then I can see my main activity.java file. Even though it shows it like this, it's actually 3 levels deep. Okay, just letting you know. So if I put something in the same namespace, if I go ca.Georgian College, which folder is it going to be in? Well, it's going to be in the Georgian College folder up here, right? So to see it graphically, because we're seeing it on command line, if I was going to bring up a Finder window, and again on PC it's very similar to this. I'm going to go back to my name, which is Thomas, right? Then my username, documents, right? Workspace, here's Workspace, Android, and inside Android I have Tip Calculator. Inside Tip Calculator I have a source file, a source directory, src. If I look inside there now, look what I see. Source, src, Georgian College, Tip Calculator, and then there's main activity.java. This is an important thing for Java, guys, because you'll see your packages just like this. CA, Georgian College, Tip Calculator. So if I said CA, Georgian College, and it wasn't Tip Calculator, if it was something else, and I was putting it inside the same namespace, I could actually literally put it inside the Georgian, it would be a Georgian College, and it would be some other app, right? And that's how Java partitions our projects. Okay, let's go back. So that's what this is showing right here. Okay, here are some imports. These are the imports, android.os.bundle. And if you look inside if I go back to our Java, I want to look at my main activity.java. So if I double click my main activity.java, it'll bring me to my code. So this is the code that I have right now, right? Let's take a look at some of this. If you notice here on the top left, on line 3, you should have the same line 3 as me, right? I have these imports. Okay, I'm going to see if I can actually make this from a preferences perspective. Let's see if I can go into preferences just for a second. I'm just going to change my editor so that's a little bit bigger than what it is. I'm going to go into general, editors, text editors, and inside my text editors, I'm going to change my colors and fonts. So where it says colors and fonts. And if I go to, my font right now is Monaco 11, right? So if I go basic, if I start going down, digging down into it, my text font is Monaco 11, right? I'm going to edit this thing, and I'm going to choose Monaco. I'm going to choose 14, just to make it a little bit larger than what it is, because 14 is a little better for me. Apply, and press OK. Now that's a little better, yeah? You guys should be able to see that a little bit clearer. Okay, so in our main activity.java, we have these imports: Android app.activity, Android OS bundle, Android view menu, and I have another one. You should have this one too: import android.view.menu item. Well, we need to add a bunch more activities like this, or imports, in order for us to do our build. Which ones? Well, we need these ones. We need android.text.editable, editable, sorry, android.text.textwatcher, android.widget.editText, and so on. I'll leave this up for a second so you guys can type that in. It's got to be in the same area that you put your imports. So these imports, think of these imports as, from a C# perspective, they're just using statements. Okay, or if you're looking at them from a C or a C perspective, we also use import for C, right? Yep. C, C++. So add these imports in. Now, what do these things do? Well, Android is your namespace. Inside the Android namespace, we're going to use the different kinds of classes, the text class and the widget class. But we're going to specifically go for elements in the text class and the widget class, different objects that we're going to access, so that we can access these things inside of our code. If we don't have this, and if we try typing it in, Android will try and use a quick fix to add the imports we're missing anyway, right? But this is a good thing, good activities to put them in on our own. Are you with me? Anyone not being able to do this yet? Okay, I'll wait for a little longer for you guys to do all these imports. So again, you're going to put them alongside the imports that exist already in your project. And of course, people try to call me when I'm in class, every time. All right. Let's go back. So I'm going to go back to my side. So again, I need to do android.text.editable. If you guys don't know what to do, it goes like this. So I'll go import. If I start typing Android dot, right, it's going to bring up, it should bring it up for you. And if I start going into text, right, that's the one I want. I can put star, but I want dot editable, this one, right? I want import, and it's going to give me this little warning because I'm not using it right now, right? I'm not using the that text. Import that android.text.textwatcher. And here's a question for you. How come I'm not getting IntelliSense, or sorry, code hinting for TextWatcher? Import android.widget.editText. Seek bar. Yeah, thought so. And on seekbar change listener. That's interesting. Import android.widget dot seekbar dot on seekbar change listener. And the next one is, the last one is widget text view. Okay, so why is it giving me these warnings? Because they haven't been used. These are all, hey, I haven't used these import statements, warnings. Tom, why are you importing libraries I don't need, right? Why, Tom? Right? That's why it's arguing. That's why it's complaining. Oh, that's good. I love when it does that. Jump around again. So, again, the thing to think about is, one thing we've noticed is that Android apps don't have a main method. This is something to notice, right? And we're going to talk about activities. This is the main thing we're going to talk about. And of course, we're going to, this tip calculator class we made extends or inherits from the class, the superclass activity. That's what it does. And then of course the onCreate method, right? Every activity has that, and we must override the onCreate method. Let's talk about for a second briefly the activity lifecycle. And again, when you look at any mobile application, it has this kind of activity run cycle where if you look at iOS as a good example, or Android, you know, the app, what happens is it comes into focus, right? Like if we touch an app, it comes into focus. And when we close it, do we actually close the app? No. No, it goes into the background and runs, right? So that's why when an app is really badly designed, it eats our memory and kills our battery, right? Because it's always running in the background. Now, iOS has addressed that issue, and it doesn't allow you to run things in the background or too many things in the background. It actually shuts the app into dormancy, but not so with Android. Android will actually, unless you tell it to, it'll continue to run and do different things in the background, and it can mess you up. So it's understood. It's good.
Like right now, I probably have 20 apps running on my phone right now, and you don't always have the energy to just go and turn them off, and they're just running now.
They're going to kill your app. They're going to kill your phone. So again, there's different states. So there's, and this is the important thing. We talk about a finite state machine. Think about the finite state machine that's being used here. There is one, right? It's in the background. So we have the active or running state, right? And with an activity that has focus. So the activity itself, so in this particular case, our activity, we only have one activity or screen. Think about the activity as a screen, right? Right now we only have one activity, and that has focus, our main activity, right? Then there's the paused activity, right? A paused activity, it could be somewhere in the background, as an example. So it's not stopped, it's paused, right? But it doesn't have focus because we've moved away from it somehow or another. And then the last one is a stopped activity, which is not visible on the screen, and it's also most likely killed by the system, right? So those are the three kind of states: active, paused, killed. If it's killed, it means it's not running, right? If you look at the lifecycle methods, the main lifecycle method we always deal with Android is onCreate. So what happens is this. Think about the word onCreate. When the activity gets created, right, we want something to happen. So it's an event listener, actually, is what we're doing. We're responding to an event. The event is the onCreate event, right? Then there's another one, onSave instance. And it's called when the configuration of the device changes during the app's execution. So for example, when you rotate the device, anything happens. If you change the orientation of the device, this onSave instance state is fired, is triggered. Okay, this is the next piece. So we've done our imports. I want you to declare the tip calculator class instance variables. Here they go. So here's all the instance variables I want you to declare. Go ahead. I'll leave this up for a second so you can see them. There's tons. And then I'll do it just after you do it. So to give you a review of what you did. So if you notice, we're using this as you're typing, we're using this edit text class, that's what it is, to create our tip10 edit text, right, variable, right, because it's of type edit text. It's an actual, we're actually creating a connection, right, between the two things. Now we haven't actually, this tip10 edit text, right, even though we're mentioning it here, is it the same as our ID that's on our background? And the answer is no, it's not right now. We have to connect it somehow. We haven't wired up the back end in any way to connect it to the front end. We've got our UI, and we're starting to create variables. There's a whole pile of variables we're going to make right now, right? But really, at the end of the day, we haven't really done any kind of wiring up. Go ahead, type away. This is a good exercise anyway. Now, I'm really hoping that you have your Eclipse running and it's running okay, so you can follow me here. Again, if you've got problems with your project, pull mine down from GitHub. Right, mine's ready to go. So you don't have to worry too much about getting it going. If you notice, there's a couple of finals, right, or constants that we've declared at the top. One called build total, which is just a string that we're going to use called build total, and another one that's custom percent, which is we're going to use custom percent. Let me know when you guys are done. You don't necessarily have to do the commenting here, but the comment tells you what each of the instance variables do. You guys there with me? That's why I'm waiting. You guys can say I don't want to rush today when it comes to this, because then once you guys don't get these little instance variables, we're gonna have issues. Hey, we talked about this as best practices. Private instance variables, right? Public properties, right? We don't have properties right now. All we have is private instance variables right now. So do we need, and this is the question, would we need any kind of public properties for this class? And chances are not, right? So that's why it's good practice to make it all private. Are you there with me yet? Can I continue? Okay. Watch these ones here?
Yeah.
Oh, these ones here should have underscores, yeah? I mean, I can put them as underscores. I'll do it just to show you. But these ones here, I'll leave them as uppercase because they're supposed to be constants. All right, so again, it would be like this. Now, where are you going to put these things? For those people who are watching at home, you're not going to put them out here. This is inside the package area. Here, all you put is imports out here, right? I'm just going to minimize this, yeah. I'll wait for you guys to get this all done. Hey, Robin, I missed you, man. I missed you. My tears are crying, man, because I didn't see you this morning. Just letting you know. Huh? Yeah, I know, but they keep telling me you slept in, right? I was like, no, he couldn't have. And then they said, oh, he's hot with the ladies. But he said, sorry, I'm recording this. Kelly, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Right? That's what happens, right? So that's what I said. Kelly, don't kill me, Kelly. Okay. Are you guys done now? Can I move on? All right. So again, I'm going to start typing myself, right? So private static final string. That's not going to go out here for the import. It's going to go in here in the class, right? And it's going to go before the onCreate, right? So I'm going to do one of these. So private static final string, and a string with a capital S, of course. And it's going to be build total is equal to build total is equal to bill total. Okay. Private static final string, and it's going to be custom percent is equal to custom percent. All right, and the next one I'm going to leave that. So these are constants. So these I'm not going to do all the commenting, but these are the constants. We're going to use this again, right? These constants. And in here, we're going to start typing the rest of them. Private double current bill total. Okay, but now private. I'm going to make a change. Private double underscore current bill total. That's how it should be. If we use our convention, right? Private int current custom percent. Private int current custom percent. Right? Private edit text tip 10 edit text. Private edit text tip 10 edit text. Huh? Yep. And total 10 edit text. So I'm going to be sneaky and go one of these. Total 10. And the next one is tip 15 edit text. You guys probably did all this as well, but you know, instead of me typing it, I figured it's just better if I do it this way. Tip 15, total 15, that's total 10. And total 15. And then bill edit text, that's a new one. Private edit text. Is it bill with a capital B? No. Bill edit texts. And tip 20 edit text. Well, I did all those. Tip 20. Got one of these. And total 20. Bet you is one of these as well. These two. Tip 20. And edit 20. Let's see if I'm right. Tip and total. Custom tip text view. That's a text view now. Custom tip text view. And the next one is tip custom edit text. So it's in a private edit text. Tip custom edit text. I like how they're using and total custom edit text. Total custom. Private edit text. Total custom. So this is what I like. I've done. What I like a lot about these, the way they've named these things, is you've used the control type at the ending, just like we do in C#. Remember, in C# we say instead of text view, it's a text edit or something like that, right? Or I think it's an edit text actually. I'm not sure if it is. It's the same in C# pretty much. The one thing they don't have is they don't have a text view. They have a label. Text view is a label in C#, right? So if I was going to name something in C# the way I do this, from a transferable skills perspective, I would say something like my text view, which is private text view, custom tip text view. I would say private label, custom tip label. That's what I would call it in C#. And I like that way of naming things because two things. We know what kind of object it is, right, from the get-go. So there's no confusion when we do any kind of cross-typing or any kind of casting that we need to do. We know what kind of object it is. And I like the underscore idea so that we know that it's a private object as opposed to public. So we know the scope. Okay, so again, the auto create method is auto generated just like the other methods that we saw in there, right? And what we want to do is this kicks off or triggers the activity, all the instance variables and components, right? So the question is, we have our private instance variables, right, inside of our class. We can initialize them inside of our onCreate method, because our onCreate method is almost like our, if you think about the activity, the main activity as its constructor method, if you will. The constructor method is there, but it's hidden because we don't need to use that right now. We don't have, if you notice, we don't have a main activity constructor method, right? So it's a little bit different. When we program in Android, it's like a little different than programming in regular Java. So here's the complete, most of the method for the onCreate class, or the onCreate method for the main activity class. So go ahead. So what we're going to do here is we're going to say, if saved instance state is equal to null, right? In other words, the app just started running, right? Then we're going to initialize our current build total to 0, right? And then also initialize our current custom percent to 18, right? That's our current custom percent. Okay, here's interesting what we're doing here down here. Look at this down here on the bottom of this one. You're going to see this. Here's where we're actually setting up references from our class variables, our instance variables here, to what's inside of our view, our actual, the view portion of our main activity. So we're actually wiring up our controls on the bottom of this form here, if you notice. I think I cover all of them. I'm just going to switch to the other page for 1 second to make sure. Yeah, there's more. So let's start with this page, and then we'll continue with our onCreate method for the next one. And I'll give you guys a chance to see this. Anyone not getting this or having an issue with any of this stuff? We're going slow like this because it's important for you guys to see what's inside of our onCreate method and why we're doing it there as opposed to somewhere else. We're doing it in the onCreate method because that's the first method that fires or triggers when our Android application window or our first activity comes into view, right? When it gets created. So our onCreate method makes sense, right? Here's another thing we're doing. We're sending to our super object, because our super object is, when we look at that, it's the what? It's our super class, right? And I can call the super class's method, right, by going super onCreate. Because remember, our current method, our onCreate method, it's already been automatically generated because our activity is, our main activity is actually an inherited activity from the activity superclass, right? So the activity superclass also has an onCreate method, and what we're doing is we're accessing that method and passing in a parameter to it that says, hey, pass in or inflate the UI that we've created, which is r.layout.main. And what does this R stand for anyway? Well, this is our actual application. So we're saying, take a look at our application. R is just a short form for, this is our application. If you think about R as almost like saying this application. Take a look at the layout. Look at the main layout that we're using, our main.xml file. Inflate the UI by passing it into the content view, set content view in our, in the first thing we do in our onCreate. I mean, that happens automatically for us. Let me know when you guys are done this piece. Now, what I'd ask you to do, even though it says here current custom percent, to keep it straight for you guys, what do I want you to do? I want you to use the this keyword. Even though it doesn't say it, use it. So you understand that when I say current build total, I mean I want you to use this.current build total, right? Because that's what we're doing. That's our current best practice. For me, it's going to be this.underscore current build total, because that's the real way of doing things. Underscore for private. And we're using the this keyword to indicate that it's the instance variable that belongs to our class, which is called main, or main activity, which is a subclass of the activity superclass, like we said before. Let me know when you guys are at the bottom. Now here's a question for you. Do I have to really do something with saved instant state if I really don't want to? I don't have to, right? What saved instant state says is if the app has just started running, right, then I want to initiate my current build total. If I don't put that in there, right, if I don't check to see if saved instant state is equal to null, right, then what's going to happen is every time I bring my app into being, right, it's going to wipe out the values. And that's why it does that. That's why we need that first line. If saved instant state is equal to null. We're going to check to see if the app has just been created for the first time. Are we done?
No,
Cody's done. Blaine?
on the last line.
Blaine is like the fastest typer. I'm surprised. Typist, sorry. I'm surprised that he's second. I know Robin isn't doing it because he's doing something else, right? Because Robin would say, I'm first, right? Because Robin? Jean-Claude is sitting in the corner quietly, not bothering anybody, right? So we can't comment about him, right, in any way. Right?
I'm actually probably a slow typer.
Come on. Are you done yet? Are we there yet, Mommy? Come on.
Fast typer, but I had 4 instances where every single one of them was spelled wrong.
Oh.
So it may have been, fast, but nothing's spelled right.
My thing is when I
Yo.
doing one more for 20%. So capital.
There's 15. Let me see. You waiting for the next one, you mean? Yeah, man. Okay, I'm going to move on now. So I'm going to start typing this stuff now. Okay. So in my case, my onCreate method has this stuff. This is where my, again, going back to this, my super.onCreate, I send my saved instance there. That's what the first thing I do, right? It comes in here because my bundle save instance state, it comes into when my onCreate method gets instantiated or created, this comes into it. It gets created from my Android state machine. Okay, so in here is where I'm going to put all my different stats. And what I'm going to do is the first thing I'm going to say is if saved instance state, and if I want to kind of put control space, actually I'll pull it up. If saved instance state is equal to null, that means the app has just been created. And then, of course, I'm going to put my else statement in there as well to frame that a little bit. Then I want to initialize current build total to 0. So again, it's this dot underscore current build total, right, is equal to 0.0. And this is what I'm saying. Use your this statement, guys. It's good practice. And then this dot underscore current custom percent. Current custom percent, right, is also equal to 18 because that's our initialization. So we set the percentage to 18. Inside of our else, if it's not initialized for the first time, then we want to say our current build total is equal to the saved instance state get double build total. And what we're saying there is, hey, we're saving our state. Whenever we go into saved instance state, I want to take this current build total and get it from the saved instance state variable, which is a state variable that hovers in the background of our application, right? So whenever we go into that pause state of the application, we want to save some things. And we can send things into the saved instance state, right? And one of the things we've sent in there is this build total. That's why we kept that that constant in the top. So current build total is equal to saved instance states get double. Get double. We're just making sure that this is it's a build total. Okay. So this we're getting it back instead of we're assigning it to 0. We're saying current build total is equal to saved instance state dot get double. I think it's the G with a lowercase thing. Get double, and then we're going to put in our custom percent up there. Custom. Is it custom percent or custom total? I can't remember what it was.
It is custom percent.
Build total, actually. That'll be okay. Build total. And get, not get double. All right. And then this dot underscore current custom percent, right, is equal to, again, saved instance state get int, saved instance state dot get int, and our string key is going to be the thing. 'Cause remember, we get things by, we can save things by key and key value pairs to the saved instance state. It's almost like think about it as working memory. I want to save things into working memory. It's not going to save it forever. If you close down the app, it's going to be gone, right? Okay, so so actually here we're retrieving the instances of where our app started off before. Okay, cool. And now I'm going to make references. I'm going to create references to all of my my stuff on the screen, right? So this is where I do that. I do that just after this. So wire up my my controls, right? So I'm going to create references. Wire up, or I'll say create references. Create references. To my controls. Okay. And again, I'm going to do tip 10 edit text and total 10 edit text. So I'm going to start typing this dot underscore tip 10 edit text is equal to, and then we're going to say it's of type edit text. Why are we casting this way? Because we're making sure that when the stuff we're getting from here on the screen, when we do this find view by ID, is going to be of type edit text. So this is a cast. This is how we cast, just like we normally do. So find view by ID, right? And we're going to go r dot, and then again it's going to be ID dot, and it's tip 10 edit text. I want to see if I can find it actually. So if I start typing tip, and there it is. Look, it actually finds it. My control, it actually comes up in code hinting, tip 10 edit text, right? If it doesn't come up, you know you're not accessing the right variable, right? So now I can save myself time by cutting and pasting, right? But first I'm going to do this this dot underscore total 10 edit text, right, is equal to, we want all this, but instead of tip 10, it's going to be total 10. And now instead of 10, we're going to go 15 and 20, so we might as well take these two and copy them again and again. So copy and again. And so instead of tip 10, this is tip 15, right? I'll change these really quickly so that way it's not done as slowly as you could. And tip 20, Same thing here. You know that's coming. All right, so I've wired up or created references to my controls right now. Okay, this is the next piece. Are you ready? Oop. So I've done this piece here. Here's the next one. I'm creating all these. I'm still wiring up. Custom tip text view. I'm wiring up my text view. I'm wiring up my tip custom edit text. So all these controls are getting wired up, and I'm wiring it all up to my seek bar. So seek bar, all this kind of stuff is going to happen. So this is just us wiring up the controls. When I say wire up, again, we're creating references. The variables, the instance variables that are inside my onCreate are just are containers, if you will, and we're passing by reference and passing the memory location of these other objects. I'm saying, think of this local variable, instance variable, right, inside of our class. An example would be tip20 edit text. Tip20 edit text now shares the same memory location with our tip20 edit text on the actual screen. So if it has all of the properties and methods, I have access to all the properties and methods of this thing. Instead of me using r.id. and then whatever the view is, right? I can access it this way, and I can directly access the controls properties this way. So this is all the rigmarole we have to do here. This is funny. Just not like C#, because C#, you just once you name that the control in C#, you have access to it on the back end here, right? You don't do that in Java. In Java, you have to create aliases, and that's what we're doing here. We're creating an alias or reference to wire up the controls that we see in the UI. Let me know when you guys are finished, and then I'll continue mine. And I'm going to check around, see how you guys are doing. Try and use IntelliSense, or sorry, code hinting. I can't say IntelliSense. This isn't IntelliSense. We're not running on Android, Visual Studio. We're running Android. So we can't legally say IntelliSense. We got to say code hinting.
Legally say?
We can't legally say it. It's not really true. We're not using IntelliSense. IntelliSense is a Microsoft thing. So again, the reason why we're making you go through this exercise and making you type stuff out like this instead of me typing and doing it like we normally do is I want you to get a feel of creating a reference to the controls. That's what we're doing. We're making a reference. When we use this R, this class R, it's actually a reference, that's what R is, a reference to our app, right? So our application, which we call our tip calculator, whatever it's called, right? If we want to access our objects, we use this r.id. methodology to get access to our controls. For another class? Awesome. That's that. Following up? Make your own? You doing your own thing?
Yeah. For some reason,
Dude.
I think it was the slip.
Oh.
It's available to the US for
Page. Control? Which is what the flip? What do you want to do? Oh, the actual it's almost like a gallery, right? But it's like a gallery, but it's for navigation, right? I'm not sure what it's called. There's another control for that. It's a custom control. It's a custom control. what they're making. It's not a control that we normally include in iOS. Okay, everyone good with me now? You guys get all done? Come on, Blaine. What's going on? I thought you were the fastest typist in the world, right? How about brown sugar? Brown sugar, you done?
I don't have my laptop today because I'm returning it.
What that?
Because of last week's fiasco.
Get out of here.
I'm not kidding, I'm serious.
You're returning your laptop?
Yeah.
Why?
Last week's fiasco. What happened?
Messed up a little bit. So I'm watching what he's doing, and I'm also looking up the Couch Master, which is insane, and I need to buy it.
What's the Couch Master?
The Couch Master is like this. You need to look at it.
Is it a couch?
It's like on a couch you have this setting, so
Yeah.
you sit here.
Yeah.
It's a table like that.
Uh-huh.
So you have place for your arms, and then you have place for like a laptop or your mouse and keyboard where you can connect wirelessly to your TV.
Dude, that sounds almost like a toilet master.
Like
Couch Master,
oh
toilet
my
master.
God, it is so insane. You have like you can put your CPU in it. You can put drinks. You have an ashtray on there. You can put your phone charging. You can put your iPod. You can like this is
It's crazy. It's nuts.
It's like
It's too much.
shut up.
Steve, we done?
My money. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to move on. So I'm going to do it now. So again, it's custom tip text view is the next one for me. So I'm going to go this dot underscore custom tip text view. And of course, it's of type text view, right? And I'll do this find view by ID, right? Again, I'm just doing control space to pull this up quickly. And then r dot ID dot. And I want to find something that's related to custom tip text view, so I'm going to go control space if I can find it. Right, there it is. Dot. And then custom tip text view. There it is. So even if I don't know what it is, as soon as I see the beginning of it, I can do the end. Right, and now the next one is tip custom edit text and total custom edit text. So they're both edit texts. So this dot underscore tip custom edit text is equal to edit text. I'm casting here again. And same thing, find view by ID. This is a key thing when we do anything with Android. Find view by ID, and then we're going to go r dot ID dot, and then we're going to look at tip custom text edit text, and this underscore, I think it's total custom edit text, right? Total custom edit text, if I'm not wrong, which is also a edit text, and then find view by ID, control space, r dot ID dot, and then of course it's going to be total custom edit text, right? So I can find it that way. Okay, so I've got total custom edit text. It's bill edit text. This is the first change we're making here. I'm gonna talk about this in a second. But bill edit text, and that's the next one. So let's do that one. This dot. Of course, I made an error. r dot ID dot tip custom edit text. Oh, I've got an extra one of those. This dot underscore. See, I forgot my place now. Bill edit text. Bill edit text is equal to edit text casting find view by ID and r dot ID dot and then bill edit text. Okay, save that, so we're good to go. And now this one, bill edit text add text change listener. So this is interesting. Add text change listener is actually a handler. If you're trying to, this is a event listener, and we have a handler that we're pointing to called bill edit text watcher, right? But bill edit text watcher we haven't made yet, so we're going to go back to that in a second. So it's going to give us a bit of an error. Might give us an error. So again, we're going to do this as an event handler or event listener. We're going to say this dot underscore bill edit text, right, dot add, is it add text change, active text change listener, yeah. Add text change listener. And of course it's the text watcher, which is bill edit text watcher, which we've named before, bill edit. Oh, I think I made it already, right? Didn't I? Is it giving you an error?
Yeah.
It should, because we didn't define it yet. Yeah, it's going to be an underscore bill. We haven't done this yet. It's called bill edit text watcher, right? Because we haven't done it. Edit text watcher, right? And we haven't done it. The reason why it's giving us an error is because we haven't created that event handler yet. And the next one, this set on seek bar change listener is the same thing. So we haven't created that event handler yet, right? So seek bar. And this is interesting. We're actually creating a custom seek bar, a local variable called custom seek bar of type seek bar, and find view by ID, r.id. No, that's not what I wanted. Not Android R. Bad. r.id dot seek bar. Oops. Custom seek bar, is that what you call it? Custom seek bar. If we followed all the precepts, we're good to go. Okay, so that's that one. And now we have to do a, it's interesting, it's saying seek bar is spelled wrong, of course, because I'm a dunce when it comes to that kind of stuff. All right, so custom seek bar dot, and then it's add, what is it again?
Set on seek bar change listener.
Is it set or add?
Set.
Set seek bar
Set on seek bar change listener.
on, oh, set on seek bar change listener, that one, right?
Yep.
And it's a custom seek bar listener, which we already created, right? So this dot underscore custom seek bar listener. Now I'm putting this under there because I'm going to create my methods, which haven't been created yet, these event handlers. And that's why it's giving you these errors. Okay, so let's talk about unsafe instance again. So again, during execution, right, if you change if you rotate the device or whatever, it will actually initialize the on instance or saved on instance state, if you will. And once it does that, it'll kick off the onCreate method again, right? So that's why you don't want to lose your, if you change orientations, you don't want to lose your variables, right? So that's why you only initialize those variables the way they are if saved instance state is null. And class R, we talked about this a little bit, class R it kind of represents our app, if you will. And what it does is you can access things like drawable. So if you want to get drawable resources instead of the ID that we've been using right now, r.id. Well, you can also do r.drawable, and drawable will be your images, or image sets that we hold in memory, that we actually hold in our code. Same thing with layout. Remember we made layouts and strings last class, right? We had like a string variable for the name of the button and so on. We created that string in that special space. Well, our special R class, and this is kind of weird for Android. I'm not sure why they called it R. It's generated by the ADT toolset, but maybe it should have been called something else, like Android. But the problem is we use Android for our imports. Import Android dot blah blah. So they had to think about something, and they called it R. Not sure why. Right? I don't know the history behind that. Okay. So we have a new method. There's a new method we're going to write called update standard whatchamacallit, and what it's going to do is it updates 10%, 15%, and 20% tip and total edit text each time the user changes the build total. That's what that thing does, right? So this is what it looks like. Now we still haven't set up those other event listeners. I'm just going to go skip forward for a second so I can show you that we do that eventually, right? So here's our update custom. I'm just going to go back down here for a second. And here's our on-saved instance state. We have a couple things to do. And here's the first time we write our on-seek-bar change listener. There's this on-seek-bar change listener. We're going to write that later on. And our bill text watcher. These are the two event handlers we're going to write, right? So it's there. That's why it's giving you errors. And then we're going to be done. So I'm going to go back. I'm just going to give you a little bit of a preview. For now, we've done quite a bit of this first onCreate method. And I think it's a great space to take a bit of a break because we've been concentrating and kind of accessing the ability for us to do this. We're going to move on when we come back.